Hey everybody, Dave from Chase Summit here. I tried this yesterday, but I had a bit of an audio problem, so I thought I'd try it again today and see how it goes. If you joined me yesterday, basically I just wanted to have an open discussion on what GPS watch you might want, and if you had any questions about the ones I've covered in some of my reviews or any of that stuff, I'd like to open up a open forum and just have a discussion with some of you out there. So if you're new to my channel, basically I review a lot of fitness watches, a lot of fitness devices or things used for running, like earbuds or watches and all kinds of doodads and widgets. So this particular conversation I want to have around GPS fitness watches. So yesterday I did have a bunch of questions come in. Gadget Dad, thanks for letting me know I'm loud and clear. I definitely am happy to see that because my audio yesterday wasn't good. So I had a bunch of questions come in yesterday regarding GPS watches. So I figured I can go through them again. I have them all prompted here, and then I'll answer them in real time. And then we'll go into the chat and we'll see if you guys have any questions for me or any ideas you want to bounce off me or whatever. I just wanted to be more personal and kind of interact with you in real time rather than going through the comments and typing in feedback. So that's what this is. I don't know how long it's going to go for, but we'll see. We'll see how long I can talk for. I got a little bit of a allergy rasp going on today. I just ran a half marathon around my neighborhood, and that was literally moments ago, so I'm still kind of recovering from that, but I didn't want to wait too long because my kids are napping, so now's the time to do it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring up the first question. So this is from yesterday. The best GPS watch you can get for under $200. Now this is kind of a tricky one because there's not a lot of like really good options from the bigger known brands. I think I would recommend checking out the Coros Pace, which is a great device. Hey, Felipe, thanks for joining me again. I remember your name from yesterday. So I think the Coros Pace would be a great device for somebody just looking to get into it. It's got a lot of the bells and whistles without the heavy price tag. I think right now it's about $250, so not exactly under $200. If you really wanted to stay under $200, I would say check out the Amazfit Stratos. So not really a popular brand, but it's something I've reviewed in the past. It's actually a written review on my website, chasethesummit.com. And that watch was like a really solid performer. I was pretty shocked by it, and I think that's only like $139, so pretty impressive for the price. I'm going to go through these kind of quick because there's a lot of them, and then I'll dive into the chat and we'll talk a little bit more through there. So the next question, why should you buy a GPS watch instead of just going with your phone? I mean, you can run with your phone, you can, let me move this question a little bit, it's better. You can run with your phone, you can put in an armband or whatever. So there's a couple of reasons. First off, the battery life of your phone, that's probably the major thing. You're not going to run an ultra marathon with a smartphone. You'd be lucky to get through a marathon with one. So I would say the battery life is the biggest differentiator. Second, they're just not very good GPS devices. First of all, like between phones, their GPS performance varies, even when you're just driving and using it for directions. So using it with Strava or as a tracker, you may or may not get good results, especially if you're sticking it in a pouch with your credit cards or keys, or you're wearing it in a waist belt or something like that, where it doesn't have direct line of sight with the sky where the satellites are. You may not get too good of a signal there. Yeah, so that's just the main reasons why you don't want to go with your phone. I still run with my phone, but I only use it for the music. Even though my watch can do music, it's just easier for me. I don't know. I'm a Google Play music user, so Garmin hasn't come out with a Google Play music app for their watch yet. If they do that, maybe I'll start using the watch. Okay, next question. What new fitness trackers will we see in 2020? This is a tricky one. As we all know, there is a global pandemic going on right now. That's hard to ignore. So that's going to change the course of what goes on in the industry. I've been trying to probe different brands. I've got some contacts that I talk with, and I've been trying to get some information from them, but they're really hesitant to give me anything good, really. So I don't really know what to expect, to be honest. So that within the Garmin world, the 945 launched in May, and it was available in May. May has coming. It's coming soon, and we haven't heard anything, and we haven't even seen leaks yet. So I'm not sure what to expect. I'd love to see the 955. I know that's going to come. Rumors sites have that up with LTE built in, so you can make phone calls on it. You don't have to carry your phone anymore. That would be fantastic. But I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I think they may push off things till later in the year to let this all cool down a bit. Maybe in the fall we'll see something, and that's kind of a bummer. On the flip side, they could capitalize on this situation because a lot of people are actually resorting to fitness in the crisis that we're in, which is interesting to me. I mean, I like it. I'm glad people are getting outside and trying to get in shape, and maybe it's a way to kind of burn off the anxiety we're all feeling right now. But they could capitalize on this, maybe pivot and try to come out with some sort of virtual running world, or I don't know, like, Zwift running is pretty cool, but it's not great. It's kind of fidgety. I'd love to see one of these bigger brands kind of capitalize on this situation, maybe do some more of a social thing and release something new that we haven't seen before. That's kind of vague, but you know what I'm saying. We could all use something more exciting to get us motivated while we're alone and all of our races are being canceled and all of that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm a little skeptical on the whole situation. As far as the other brands go, Kouros hasn't released anything in a while. I don't know if they're going to release anything. It would be nice to see a successor to the Apex, maybe like in that lower $350 tier. And I don't know what else they're going to do. And maybe a successor to the Pace would be nice. And they could roll in the newer features from the Vertix and the Apex Pro. The other thing is the Suunto. They've been kind of quiet lately, so we have yet to see what they're going to be doing. It would be nice to see them update their 9 Baro. That would be a nice update because right now the Fenix kind of crushes that thing in a lot of categories. So if you're like torn between the Alto Baro and the 9 in the Fenix 6, to me the Fenix 6 is a landslide in that department. But they could come back with something. They have the capability. They definitely have the technology and the infrastructure. So who knows? But the big sleeper, I think, is going to be Polar. Polar had the Vantage series come out, and they were kind of overshadowed by Garmin at the time. So they have the potential to come out with a new Vantage watch that has all the bells and whistles, all of the updates, incredible battery life. Maybe they put that new Sony GPS chip in there so it can last for 40 plus hours or whatever. That would be nice to see. I'm a fan of Polar. They tick a lot of the boxes for me, but none of their devices really fit me too well. So right now I'm sticking with the Fenix 6. Next question. What is the least important feature of a GPS fitness smartwatch? That's an interesting one. So in my mind, a lot of people kind of focus on the music on the Garmin's, and I think Fitbit does it too. I don't really care about it, and I never have. I mean, I've tested it. I've tried it. It does work fine. It pairs with your Bluetooth headphones, but it crushes your battery life. And I just don't trust it, unless I was like only doing a 5K or something. I always have my phone with me. So I think the least important thing is focusing on having music. Next to that might be, I don't know, the quality of the display. Because really, it's only you looking at it. All we really care about is the data that it's collecting, right? All right. What is the most important feature when considering a GPS smartwatch? Okay, first off, let's go with GPS accuracy, right? Everyone cares about that. Some are pretty bad at it, and some are really good at it. And then next, I'd say battery life for me. That's something I always fight, especially in long races. I don't want to carry a battery bank in a race. And when I ran a 100-miler back in October, I was able to complete it with one charge on this watch, and that was really liberating. I didn't have to worry about it at all. I finished with I think I had 28% left on the battery. So battery life and accuracy, I'd say. Third place there is probably heart rate data. It's hard to get good wrist-based heart rate data. None of them do it that great. So, yeah, that one's tough. And if you have bad heart rate data, then all of the fancy gizmos and gadgets of your watch, like VO2 max estimates and all that, it's all trash because you can't trust the data if your heart rate data is bad. So, next question. In your testing, which GPS smartwatch has had the most accurate heart rate data from the optical wrist sensor? So in the plethora of devices I've tried, I haven't tried all of them, to be fair, but in all of the ones I've tried, try not to hit the microphone, I would say the Garmin 945 or the 935 has had the best heart rate data in my personal opinion on my body. So that's a loaded question. These things vary wildly with everybody. So the 945, I think it has something to do with the weight of the watch. These big watches, they tend to move around when you run. And when that happens, the data gets skewed. Lately though, I've been sticking to wearing a strap or wearing this Polar OH1 sensor, which is fantastic. I love this thing. This is probably one of my favorite little devices right now. So if you don't know what this is, it's an arm strap instead of a chest strap. These chest straps are super accurate. Actually made a video about this if you want to go back in my channel and check it out. But basically the chest strap is the gold standard, right? You get great data from this, but it kind of isn't fun to wear. I get really uncomfortable wearing this, particularly on long runs. Now, the Polar OH1, you actually put on your arm like this, and it's another optical heart rate sensor, just like on the back of your watch, but it's a bit more powerful. So it's got more LEDs, gets a little bit brighter. And so gives you better data. It's not quite as accurate as the chest strap, but it's like 98% of what a chest strap is. So I've been wearing that on almost every run. And I like that it's USB rechargeable. So I just plug it in when I get back, and pretty great. But to answer the question, the 935, 945, I would guess, I haven't tested the 245 to be fair, but I think that the 245 probably has great heart rate data just because of its size. I've also had good luck with the Coros Apex that had pretty good heart rate data. Yeah, moving on. Okay, so this is getting into the chats. So this is from yesterday's live chat when my microphone failed me and I sounded awful. So let's go ahead and read this. Edwin Tai. I'm debating between the Kouros versus Garmin. I mainly do road running, but sometimes trail or hiking too. How important is it to have a barometer in your watch? Okay, so it depends. If you really need to know exactly how much elevation gain you've accrued on a long run or hike, the barometer is going to give you the best possible data if it's calibrated, which they all do automatically once you start a GPS track. That said, if you're running on flats or you don't necessarily care, like you've got somewhat of an interest in how much elevation gain that particular route had, all of these watches will give you elevation data through the GPS information. So when it syncs with Strava, you're still going to get that data. The barometer will be more accurate, but you'll still get pretty accurate data from the GPS track. And I think that's something a lot of people kind of misunderstand. Both ways you'll get data, the barometer is going to be more accurate. You know, if you're doing if you're a mountaineer or you're doing really high elevation gain or high altitude runs, then yeah, you probably want a barometer if that's like your bread and butter. But if you're like a casual trail runner, you don't necessarily need it. A 245 will get you most of the information you need. Hope that helps. Simon Gee, I brought the Fenix 6 Pro and I have to say it's superb. I agree. Great watch. Reese Tam, I'm about to buy the Fenix 6S mainly for looks. I run, cycle, lift, hike, and ski. I was fairly settled on the Sapphire version, but I'm not sure if I should just go with the Gorilla Glass version with a screen protector instead. What is your opinion? Okay, so it depends. When you buy the Gorilla Glass version and put a screen protector on it, the visibility of that becomes just like the Sapphire. So in case you didn't know, Sapphire glass actually reflects less light, or transmits less light from the backlight of the LCD in the back of the watch. So inherently, it's you get less visibility to the screen because the Sapphire glass is like a little bit dimmer. It's like almost like tinted glass. Now the Gorilla Glass out of the box, like the 945 and the Fenix 6 base model, they look so cool. Like they're very crisp and vibrant because that Gorilla Glass is like from a cell phone. It transmits a lot of light and it looks fantastic. Now the problem is the durability. I don't care what anybody says. The Gorilla Glass is no substitute for Sapphire. Like Garmin changed the naming scheme from, it used to be called mineral glass on the older Fenix watches, and now they've dubbed it Gorilla Glass. Realistically, it's the same stuff. It may have gotten a little bit better, but like their manufacturing process got a little bit better, but it's still just as prone to scratching as the old mineral glass. And I can say firsthand, the first day of my 945, I did a 21-mile trail race. I scratched it day one, and I didn't fall. I didn't like bash it on anything. It just scratched. So after that race, I ordered a screen protector. Now, the problem with the screen protectors are there's not really a high quality one on the market. There's like the thin, filmy ones that I hate. They make your watch look cheap. And then there's the tempered glass, but the tempered glass have an oleophobic coating that can actually wear off, and it can make smudges appear a lot easier on your watch and make visibility a lot worse. And that's especially bad if only part of the display wears off. Then you got like a nice vivid display on one half, and then the other half is all smudged up. So not a big fan of the screen protectors. Personally, I went Sapphire. I never looked back. I just always buy Sapphire. And I'd say if you can afford it, Sapphire is worth it. Now, is it worth the premium price tag that Garmin keeps putting on everything? I don't know. I think that across the board, they should have Sapphire, given that their cheapest watch is $600, but they don't. I like Sapphire. I would recommend it if you can afford it. That's my take on it. How does the screen on the Coros Vertex compare to the Fenix 6 Pro? Does Kouros offer a weightlifting function? Two parts to this question. The Vertex actually has a bit of a dimmer screen than the Fenix 6X, and that's in part due to the Sapphire. So like I just talked about, the Vertex has a really thick Sapphire glass, which is great because it's crazy durable. It's actually domed too, which is really cool because it doesn't reflect light. But the Fenix 6X Pro, the Pro model has Gorilla Glass. So again, it's going to be allowing more light to pass through at a hit in durability. So unless you put a screen protector on there, and then you're kind of back to square one with visibility. So without a screen protector, better visibility, worse durability on the Garmin. The Vertex is going to be more durable, but offer less visibility. It won't be as vibrant. Hope that helps. Also, the backlight on the Vertex, in my opinion, was a little meh. It was like kind of washed everything out. In the Garmin backlights, even though there's a variability issue out there, I'm sure you've seen it, even in my video that I did on it, it's a little bit crisper, if that means anything. Also, the resolution on the Garmin's a little bit better, and the screen itself is a little bit larger, so you can put more information on there. Can you comment on the Garmin Instinct? Is it worth buying? I heard it has altimeter issues. I'm attracted to its looks, but currently using a Fenix 5 Plus. Let me save you the headache. Keep that Fenix 5 Plus. It is a far superior device than the Instinct. The Instinct, I'm not a big fan of it, mainly because it's like a marketing ploy, in my opinion. They're they took a really rugged looking, super cool watch that looks like it came off a military guy or whatever. And then they put the guts of like a cheap 245 or 235 in there. I mean, it's not that bad. It's still a good watch, but like there is issues with it software wise. And then it's not a top performer in the category. It does have a relatively cheap price tag, which I'll give it, but I think, what is it? $300? There's still better options at that price point. So keep the Fenix 5 Plus. What do you think about the Garmin Venue? Oh, Felipe, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You're in the chat. So it looks like you end up going with the Venue. That's good news. I like the Venue. I think it's right for the right person, and I feel this way about a couple of watches, including the Polar Ignite, which I did a video on a couple months ago. The Polar Ignite is kind of in the same OLED smartwatch fitness features realm as the Venue. The Venue is a little bit more advanced. It's basically the Vivo Active with... It's a clone of the Vivo Active 3 or 4. So it's a good watch. Yeah, so it is... You're going to take a hit in battery life. You know that because OLED displays eat up that battery. But again, if you're not... so there's two parts to battery life. Like for me, I care a ton about long activities. So some of my long runs can take 5-6 hours. Races can go 24 plus hours, right? So I am a big battery life guy. But if you're a marathon runner, you don't really need to worry about it. Even if you're even a slow marathon could be 5-6 hours. That'll last you plenty, and the standby time is another thing. So I think the Venue can go what? You correct me if I'm wrong. Was it like 3 days on a charge, or is it more? So I think, that's plenty of power if you don't mind charging up, and it's still better than an Apple Watch or something like that. So, I mean, the other part is I do really like the Apple Watch. It's a good device, and it's got top class heart rate sensing, which is great. It's just not for me. Like I said, I really like fitness-oriented devices more so than smartwatches. So that's why you haven't seen an Apple Watch on my channel, although I would like to get my hands on one just to like compare it against some of the big players, Apple Watch versus Fenix 6 or something. That'd be pretty cool. But, it is what it is. Okay, next question. I have a very low resting heart rate of around 30 to 35 right now. I use the Fitbit Ionic to track my resting heart rate, and it gives me incorrect readings. How does the Forerunner 945 or Garmin in general handle this? Is it any better? So Garmin's interesting. I found in all of my testing that the onboard wrist-based heart rate sensor is pretty good at lower heart rates. 30 to 35 is extremely low, by the way. You should probably call your doctor because that's like barely alive. Unless you're like a pro triathlete or something. I personally have a resting heart rate somewhere around 50. It can fluctuate from like 48 to 52. And my Fenix 6 actually tracks that pretty reliably. And I've compared it with straps and other things, and it's right in that ballpark. So I trust it. The one thing to note is you really need to keep your watch tight. Like you don't want to be able to fit a finger under your watch. You need to keep it tight if you want a good resting heart rate reading. And a lot of people get confused with that. So make sure your watch is tight if you care about it. If you want to be comfortable, loosen it up and just don't trust it. Next question. Oh, going back to Tommy Lee's question here. The weird thing about Garmin is like the higher heart rates. Once you go beyond 150, 160, it hits a wall. It won't go any higher. So like I've done some testing. I have videos on my channel about it, comparing against the chest strap and everything. And I noticed that when I go into the anaerobic state, up in that 175, 180 territory, the wrist-based sensor just won't go up that high. It like hits a wall at like 160, 150, and from there it stays there. It's really weird. So keep that in mind. That's why I started wearing straps and sensors and stuff like that. Quick question, Coros Apex or Forerunner 945? Depends on your budget. If price was no issue, I would say the 945. It's got similar battery life. and it's got a boatload of more features. You may or may not care about them with the music, the onboard mapping, the Wi-Fi, things like that. The Apex is a better built device. It does have sapphire glass and a titanium bezel. So the Apex does win in that category. And it is an easier device to use, you know? Like if you're, I don't want to say a simple person, but if you're just somebody who wants to track your runs and you don't want to get overwhelmed with like installing apps and widgets and changing your watch face, you don't necessarily have to do that on Garmin's, but people tend to get wrapped up into that. The Kouros watches are just so dang simple. You take it out of the box, update the firmware, pair it with your phone, and boom, you're off running. You can't customize much on it, which is kind of a blessing because you can get really carried away with customization, and they work great. So if you're a simple person, Kouros, if you want more functionality, $945, again, you're going to pay for that functionality almost double, right? $945 is $599 retail. Apex $350. So they're in a different price category, even though they're pretty close in competition. I'd say the $935 is a better comparison to the Apex. Those really match up a little bit better, but yeah, we're talking modern watches, so then the $945 and Apex kind of line up. Hey, thanks, Gadget Dad. I appreciate the pocket money raise. Felipe, yes, you are certainly good. If you're happy with the Venue, man, I'd say, you know, stick with it. There's definitely nothing wrong with it. I really like those OLED displays for the, let me hide this for a second. There we go. So I really like those OLED displays for reading text. Like if you get a text message or an email, those OLED displays, when I had the Polar Ignite, that was so cool to just be able to swipe through and read long messages, and it was really nice. So if you're doing a lot of smartwatch stuff, the Venue's a fantastic option. Okay, Jonathan Austin, I'm torn between the Coros Vertex and the Fenix 6 base model. I want to run marathons and possibly ultras. I love the Vertex battery life and ease of use, and the digital knob. The Garmin ecosystem just seems overwhelming. So like I just said, it can be overwhelming. All of the things are optional though. Like if you just want a watch to work, you can just buy a Garmin, take it out of the box, put it on your wrist, start running, cycling, you know, lifting weights, whatever. You don't necessarily have to go deep diving into the menus and installing watch faces and putting music on it, stuff like that. So I'd say don't get overwhelmed by it. Buy the model you think that will fit your needs the best. Now, as far as the Vertex go, I do like the Coros Vertex. It's a great watch, but the thing I hate about it is the price tag, right? At $599, I don't know, they must have put it on sale by now because I doubt they sold many of those. It's $600, so that puts it in direct competition with the Suunto 9 and the Garmin Fenix. It's basically a Garmin Fenix clone, right? Now, it's better built than the base model Garmin Fenix at $600, but it doesn't offer all the same functionality. It doesn't even hold a candle to what the Fenix can do. The only thing it has going for it is like mind-blowing battery life. So if you're someone who needs to run for 60 hours straight and you want that 1 second ping accuracy on your satellite, I'd say go ahead and get the Vertex. It's a good option for people doing those crazy 200-mile races out in the West. But for me, it doesn't fill a need. It's a real premium watch. And the two standout features are build quality and battery life. So the build quality is top notch. It can be in Arctic frozen tundra. It can be 100 meters underwater. I think it might even be 150 meters. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 150 meters. The Fenix is 100 meters. So it's probably one of the best built GPS smartwatches on the market, but it just doesn't have all the functionality. Now, if we could take the guts of a Fenix 6 Pro and stick it in the Vertex, we'd be onto something there. Because I do like the knob. I really dig I enjoy the knob. The Coros touchscreen, though, not so much. Doesn't do much. Next question. I had a question in mind today. If I upgrade the Fenix 3 HR to the Fenix 6, which tracking features, in your opinion, would bring me the biggest value? Interesting question. So you're going to get the same metrics from the Fenix 6 and Fenix 3 HR. The only added sensor is well, actually, no, not true. There's a couple added sensors. So the blood oxygen saturation level you'll get from the Fenix 6, depending or not if you use that, is pretty up in the air. So the only people who should care about that are people with medical conditions. Again, this is not a medical grade device, so you can't totally trust it. But the other person that might care about it is somebody who trains at altitude, and those people will really care about it. I live in Massachusetts in America here, so we don't have that tall of mountains. I think the biggest peak here on the East Coast is 6,289 feet. It's Mount Washington in New Hampshire, which no one's allowed to be on right now. Boo. But I'm sticking to the rules. And yeah, so I don't even turn that on my watch because I don't really care. I've tried it a couple times. It's interesting information, especially the sleep aspect of that. So you can track your oxygen saturation while you sleep. And that would be kind of cool if you're like on a multi-day mountaineering trip or something. The next part of that question is the other sensor you're going to get with the Fenix 6 is the gyroscope in the watch. The Fenix 3 HR has an accelerometer, but it doesn't have the gyroscope. The gyroscope data helps you when you put it in ultra track mode to get more accurate distance data with a lower ping rate on your GPS. So that'll save you battery life and increase your accuracy a bit. Still not terribly accurate, so questionable whether or not that benefits you too much. The big upgrade with the 6 is you're going to get way better battery life and all the other software upgrades. So the 6 is definitely superior, but the 3HR is still actually really great, and it's a killer value for what? You could probably find them. Let me Google it. Oh man, there we go. You can see my screen and everything. Yeah, look at that. We got them for 190 bucks. So yeah, so going back to my question about what the best $200 watch is, it might be the Fenix 3 HR. It's a great deal. Would you recommend the Coros Apex Pro over the original Apex? No. This is coming from actually, there it is. Yeah, so the Coros Apex Pro, it's a great device. Again, though, my issue with this is the price tag. What is it? What is the Apex Pro right now? Someone tell me. $450? So it's a bit more expensive. It's larger. And all you really get with that added money is the touchscreen and like 5 more hours of battery life in GPS mode. So not a huge upgrade. And you do get the blood oxygen saturation on the back. But again, like I just talked about, not a lot of people are going to use that. And if you do, this might be the right move if you're in the Kouros market. But I still stand by that the Apex is probably the best GPS watch in the Kouros lineup as far as like a price tag value, feature value. It's killer. It's an amazing watch. I do like that the Apex Pro does have the dedicated back button. That's something that the Apex didn't have. And I do like the design of the Apex Pro a bit more. It's a little bit more flashy looking. So yeah, I don't know. The Apex is a better value. Apex Pro is still nice. And if you can get it on sale, might be worth it. Hope that answers your question. Next one. After you complete a run, how do you analyze your data? Do you use Training Peaks, Strava, Garmin, etc.? So I'm a Strava guy myself. Let me close this. I'm taking out my whole window with this thing. Okay, so I'm a Strava guy. My workflow is really, I use Garmin Connect to analyze my data. That's, VO2 max or my mileage, my resting heart rate, all of those things. I look on Garmin Connect using the web portal on a laptop or computer. I really like the website. That's a big deal to me. I wish Kouros had a website. And then I sync with Strava just for fun, really. I still use Strava as like a tally to keep me updated on my distances because it's a little easier to digest through the app on the phone. But I find that Garmin Connect is a little bit better for really getting to the nitty gritty. Strava is great for socializing. I like to see what my friends are doing, that sort of thing. And I follow, the big names in running, Sage Canaday and Jim Walmsley, just to see what the elites are doing, because I'm certainly not an elite. So I like to follow people like that, just to see what they're capable of, and yeah, so I use both. I don't use Training Peaks. I did try it, but so I'm in mechanical engineering. I'm a pretty detail oriented guy, in case you can't tell about how crazy I get about watches. But Training Peaks was like overwhelming for me. It was just a little too much data, and I didn't know what to do with a lot of it. So I tried it for a couple weeks. It just wasn't for me. I think if you had a coach, Training Peaks is really valuable because they can log in and follow your progress and give you recommendations, things like that. But that's just the way it is. I think Strava and Garmin have me covered as far as that goes. I'm considering Garmin Forerunner 945 or the 245. What is the major difference between the two? Is it just a price jump? And is it worth that price jump? Yeah, so the big difference between the 945 and 245 is you're going to get a barometric altimeter in the 945. You're going to get offline mapping in the 945. And you're also going to get far superior battery life. So I think the 245 can track up to, I want to say 14 hours, which is still great. A lot of people could run 50 miler in that amount of time. But if you need more than that, then you're stepping up to the 945. That's basically it. So I'll keep that one short. Is the price jump worth it? It depends. Do you need offline maps? Do you need extended battery life? Do you need the advanced training metrics? If you just want to track a run and you're running under marathon distances, 245 all day, that'll definitely cover you. Sima. In the UK, the 945 watches all have mushy buttons for some reason. The 935 seems okay. Have there been issues like this in the USA? Yup. So for me, I haven't had an issue with it. I have read on a lot of forums and there's been a lot of hubbub and discussion. There might even be YouTube videos about it. I personally haven't experienced it. My 945 always had clicky buttons. My Fenix 6 still has clicky buttons. So it seems like luck of the draw. But yeah, people in America have reported this issue. And I have seen some videos of people pressing. There's variation in manufacturing. Garmin is so huge that they probably source their parts all over the world. And there's probably one factory out there that has a slight tolerance off on their buttons, and it's making everybody mad. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, we are seeing that in America. All right, so let's go into the chat. Let me see if I can answer some of these real-time questions. Sorry, bear with me here. This is only my third live stream, so... And yesterday I had to throw away because my audio was so bad. Yeah, comments are having issues. Okay, let me scroll to the top of the live chat. I want to say hi to Felipe and Gadget Dad for keeping me company here. So, thanks guys, thanks for sticking with me. After the advice from you yesterday, the 245 has been ordered. Got it on sale for 205 euros, which is around 255 US dollars. Hey, congratulations, SimSima. I hope you enjoy that watch. I'm glad I could help you. Gadget Dad, why don't Garmin make a top-end watch with a removable battery? Man, that is a good question. And it's interesting. There are some laws, and I've seen some things floating around on the internet. Right now, there's a big thing in the cell phone industry where some larger manufacturers like Apple and Samsung are being mandated to have removable batteries in their phones in Europe. So that raised a red flag for me with the watch industry. And this was there's a whole thing about like serviceability and being able to repair something yourself as the person who bought it. And I like that. It'd be great to see. I know why they don't do it. They don't want people damaging. So it'd be hard to warranty their devices if you were able to unscrew the back and dive in there and take the battery out without damaging anything. Once you got it back together, you go for a run, it doesn't work anymore. Like, is that your fault? Is that Garmin's fault? It's tough to do that. And with such a small device, I don't think they'd be able to put like a battery compartment in there and like have a cover, because the whole geometry would change. It would make it taller, make it bigger. Now you can go on eBay and buy a Fenix 6 battery and do that operation yourself. But I have read that after you do it, you can't trust the waterproofing anymore. Apparently they use some sort of adhesive around the perimeter or like a gasket maker or something like that. So to answer your question, I think it's more complicated than it seems. And then the second part of that is like, I don't know. I know they have a service where they will replace your battery for like $50. You have to pay for shipping. But yeah, they just don't want you monkeying around in there, to be frank. Next question. Felipe, I'm good. You got 5 days out of that battery. That's pretty solid. Good news. Felipe, for the money, I'm okay. Go with. You make more staying home in the coronavirus pandemic. That's kind of crazy. I'm actually still working from this very desk. We all went full remote at my company, so I've been working like more than usual. We've been really busy. I don't want to say too much of what I do, but I'm involved in the automation of warehouses that deliver groceries. So I'm in the engineering side of that, and so we're essential employees, and we're obviously very busy right now because of all the demand for groceries around the world. So it's been a crazy time for us. I feel terrible for the amount of people that are losing their jobs over this pandemic. It's insane. I've got friends that own restaurants and they had to lay everybody off. So, I mean, I don't know how we're going to recover from this. So, not to get off topic here. So let's keep trucking down. Felipe, sorry if it's a different subject. What is your diet? And if you have any, especially for a long run. So I'm not sure if you're mentioning what I eat during a long run or what I eat on a daily basis. So I'll cover both. So my day-to-day diet, I'm not vegan or anything like that. I'm kind of just a standard. I mean, I eat healthy. I try to eat all the veggies and everything, and I try to watch what I eat. But especially right now, with us being in isolation like this, my wife and I have been kind of struggling to keep a healthy, balanced diet and everything. Oddly enough, we have been exercising more. So like my mileage has gone up lately. I've been tracking 50 plus miles a week locally because I can't really travel anywhere. But it's been good for running. Not so good for what I'm eating and the beer that I'm consuming. As far as the long run, when I run races that are 50 plus miles, so up to a 50K, I'm good on gels or Tailwind. I really like Tailwind. It's a product that you mix in your drink and it provides electrolytes and calories. That I can go up to a 50K on that without even ingesting real food. A 50K, I should say, that takes up to like 6 hours or maybe 7 hours. Beyond that, when I get to the 50-mile mark, I think after 30-ish miles, my body starts craving that food, and I will absolutely bonk after 50 miles, or after 50K, if I don't get real food in. And when I eat real food, I like to have real simple stuff. I'm not very exploratory when it comes to food during ultras. So at my 100 miler, I relied heavily on avocados in tortilla wraps. That was like really hitting the spot. I don't know if it's like the fats and the carbohydrates and everything. We were actually putting salt on them too, which is pretty good. And also we had beans in those tortilla wraps. That was at aid stations. I was eating that. And 100% of the time, I will eat the watermelon at aid stations because that is just good. And I might even eat that at a shorter race if it's like really hot out or something like that. So yeah, I'm pretty simple. I'll throw down a PB&J if I have to, but not a whole lot outside that realm. Yeah, so looks like I'm coming to the end. Oh, can you write the name of the powder that you mix in raw water? Yeah, I sure can. Tailwind, just like a jet has a tailwind, you know? It's like something that's propelling you forward. So I really like that stuff. It never gave me an issue with my gut, and other things have. If you go back on my channel, I've got a video about how I DNF'd at a 100-mile race back in July, and that race actually was providing something. I don't want to give them a bad rap. What was the name of that? I forget. It was like POW or something. It's like an electrolyte mix powder. And I thought, hey, this stuff is all the same. I'll use what they have at the aid stations. And that just totally backfired on me. I got super dehydrated. I don't know if it didn't have enough sodium or potassium in it. My body just couldn't handle it. My stomach went south. Everything fell apart. And I ended up quitting the race because of that. And oddly enough, I had Tailwind in my drop bags, but I didn't want to waste the time to go get it and put it in my drinks or whatever. So I ended up using their stuff, and ultimately that was a bad idea. So you live and learn, right? It was a good experience, but yeah, didn't go that well for me. So the chat has gone quiet. You know, I think I may have went live a little early. I know people like to go live in the evenings when everything dies down and people like to watch YouTube or whatever. It's actually a really nice day outside today, so I'm assuming everyone's outside. I got my time outside earlier. I got my run in today. Anyways, I don't see too many more questions coming in the chat, and I don't think I have any more left in my backlog here. So yeah. Anyways, I've got some great stuff coming up on the channel. I've got a couple of reviews coming up, particularly for these earbuds. These are the MPOW M30 True Wireless Earbuds. These are awesome. Spoiler alert if you don't watch the review. So these things were $35 off Amazon, and they compete directly with some of the more expensive ones I have. I have a whole bunch of True Wireless earbuds here, but I've had really good luck with those so far. I've also got a review coming out from my treadmill, which is a Nordic Track X11i, and I thought right now might be a good time to review a treadmill because a lot of people are trapped inside, and maybe you're in the market. You know, I was looking on Craigslist for a treadmill, and like everybody's treadmill on Craigslist was from the 80s or really beat. So I took the plunge and I just went on the Nordic Track website and I said, I want the best one. If I'm gonna be trapped in my house, I want something good. So the X11i struck my interest because it has a 40% incline, just totally insane. It's like climbing a Mount Everest in my living room. And it really, it's challenging. And what's great about it is it's got all these features where you can actually run with a coach, and he'll like try to pep talk you or tell you about the history of the trail that you're running with, all on the LCD display on the treadmill. My wife has been having a bunch of fun with it. They do like CrossFit classes, and you jump off the treadmill and lift weights and then get back on. Really cool stuff. So it's definitely quirky, but it's definitely been very helpful in this time of being isolated and not be able to get outside too much. So I'm gonna do a full review on that. Not a cheap thing. I think it was like, oh, Felipe just asked the price. So I think I paid on sale $1,850 US. So I don't know what that is in euros for you Euros watching. But yeah, not a terribly cheap treadmill. And that was on sale. I think it retails for like $2,200+. And then there's other models that go up from there with bigger displays or whatever. But I didn't need all that. I just basic stuff. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it, and I definitely recommend checking it out. There are other models out there that do similar stuff, but yeah, I'm digging the X11i so far. Let's see. Sundar, oh man, I'm gonna butcher this name. Sorry. Sundar Pelapar. Did I say that remotely right? Hey, I have a tough time deciding between the Fenix 5 and the Apple Watch Series 4. Yeah, you know, I've heard that a lot, and I can't blame you. The Apple Watch does a lot right, but it does do some other things not so right. I've heard, I haven't tested the Apple Watch. I really want to, so if anyone out there has one you want to let me borrow for a couple of days so I can pit it up against some of these, that would be great. I haven't tested one in person yet, but I have heard that the heart rate monitor on the Apple Watch is killer. It's very accurate for a wrist-based sensor, so I like that. I also like that it's a full-fledged smartwatch, so you get all of the wacky features. You can make phone calls on it. You can have offline maps. You can download them to your phone and then share them to your watch. That is very cool stuff. What I don't like is the always-on display that sucks the battery life. I'm not somebody who wants to charge his phone every day or every other day, and that's what's bugging me. So I mean, it's probably right for a lot of people. Like if you're a business person or you really want to make phone calls on your watches or read full text messages or any of that stuff, surely the Apple Watch has a ton more functionality than one of these dedicated watches for fitness. Now, Garmin, the Fenix 5, what was it? Yeah, the Fenix 5. So the Fenix 5 doesn't have as much of the smart features as the newer watches, but it's still pretty good. You'll get text messages. You'll be able to answer phone calls. If you have earbuds in, you'll be able to reject phone calls. You can reply to text messages on Android only, not Apple. So that's a big caveat there. That's a big frustration for a lot of Apple users who have Garmin watches. You can reply on an Android phone with a Garmin watch, and you can preset your messages so you can scroll down and be like, hey, I'm on a run right now. You can't do that if you have an Apple phone. And that isn't Garmin's fault. That's actually Apple's fault. They closed off that wall and they made it their ecosystem. So if you really want to watch with calling functionality or responses, you have to get the Apple Watch. Now, the other big issue with the Apple Watch is battery life. Again, for me, I like battery life to be 20 plus hours. That's kind of my criteria for a watch that I'm interested in. And that may not be for everybody. Like I said, if you're just a marathon runner, I don't mean to say just, that's a task in itself, but if you're a marathon runner or somebody who participates in events like under 5 hours or so, I'm not totally sure of what the Apple Watch is capable of, but I certainly know it can't keep up with these with 30, 40 hours of battery life. So yeah, if you can live with that, Apple Watch is a great buy. And my buddy over at Ryan Clayton, he's another YouTuber with a similar channel. He actually is using an Apple Watch right now, which is pretty interesting. Shout out Ryan. Sundar agreed with all these points. It's the optical heart rate accuracy for me. With CrossFit and NTC, Garmin Fenix 5 OHR kind of lags and doesn't spike compared to the Apple Watch. You're certainly correct. Again, to follow up on my point earlier in the feed, if you are recording lower heart rate intensity things, I don't know how high your heart rate goes with CrossFit, the Fenix will keep up up into like the 150, 160 beats per minute range. Once you exceed that, you're going to lose all the accuracy. And if you do anything that's like, burpees or like intense sets where you really spike and then drop, you're not going to see that in the Garmin. They may not even show. That's a big frustration with a lot of Garmin users. To get the best, you're going to need to wear a strap, or like I said before, this is actually a good option for CrossFit. I don't know if you're here for this, but this is the Polar OH1 and the OH1 Plus, I should say. And this compare with my watch, and I can wear it on my arm, and this will give me very accurate heart rate data compared to the watch itself. But yeah, for CrossFit, Apple Watch is probably a better bet. Unless you smash it with a barbell, then you're kind of hosed. Okay. Agreed on all these points since all the first beat stuff relies on OHR. Yeah, yep. That's the thing. That's really the frustrating thing about the heart rate sensors on all of these watches. They jam all these amazing features into the watch, right? Like VO2 max, or like estimating your training load. All of that stuff is fantastic, right? But if your heart rate data is bad, all of that is trash. Like you can't trust anything. So even for me, I've been running with the Fenix 6 for like a year now, and the Fenix 6 has an okay heart rate sensor. I never use straps, so I just was never comfortable with the chest strap. Now in the past couple of months, yes, I've been running a lot more and I've been training pretty hard, but I've also been wearing the Polar OH1 with every single run. And guess what? My VO2 max has gone up 3 points in just 2 months, which is kind of aggressive. That's definitely not realistic. So yeah, I definitely attribute that to getting better data out of my heart rate strap than I did from my watch. So, spiking my VO2 max that quickly kind of raises a red flag that what I was doing before just wasn't as accurate. Now, that being said, it depends how much you care. So for most people, like if you're buying a Garmin 245 and you're just trying to get in better shape and you want to just start running, or maybe you have a goal, like you want to run a 10K or a marathon, these wrist-based sensors are good for that. They give you a good baseline of your fitness. You don't want to compare it against other people or charts online. You really just want to compare it against yourself. And that goes for a lot of the data you get out of these watches. So you can establish a baseline with your resting heart rate, your lactate threshold, your max heart rate while you're running, all of that stuff, write it down or just log it in Garmin Connect. And then over time, as you train, you see these things get better. Your heart rate's getting lower. Your max heart rate under the same run conditions at the same pace is getting lower. That is an indication that you are getting fitter. These wrist-based sensors will still show you that. They just won't do it in great detail. So like for me, moving from one VO2 max notch up to the next is a big deal in my life. Like I live for that. But yeah, so that's why I'm wearing the strap in that case. I just went off on a tangent. I hope that made sense to you. Okay, any other questions in the chat? We had a lot more viewers yesterday. It's too bad. I should have streamed later in the evening. So, with that, unless anybody has any more questions, I'll let it go for a little bit longer. I just want to, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been fun. I've been really experimenting with these live things. I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I have some ideas with what I'm going to do with this in the future. I might have guests come on. Maybe we can do like a podcast style back and forth thing. That would be pretty fun. Maybe, have some people in the industry. If I could talk somebody from Garmin or Kouros to come on and talk about what they're doing or planning, that would be cool. Or, maybe some ultra runners, or just inspiring people. So that's what I'm going to try to do with this. We'll probably do some more Q&As, that type of thing with this channel. I just wanted to make it more community and be more personal with you guys, and maybe just be a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera, because being live is a little intimidating. So one more question. Is the screen AMOLED on the Venue, is that as good as the Apple Watch? To my understanding, the screen on the Venue is very similar. I don't know if it's as vibrant as the one on the Apple Watch, but it's certainly very good. I think I'm sure you guys, if you're watching my channel, you know who DC Rainmaker is. You could go check out his channel. He's definitely got all of those comparisons. I haven't had my hands on a Venue. I asked for one and they said no. So I'll try to get some more subscribers and maybe they'll start saying yes to me. I also only tell the truth, so maybe that's why they didn't send me one. Anyways, with that, hope you guys are being safe out there. This is a crazy time we're living in. I certainly am feeling it hard here in Massachusetts. We've got an exploding amount of cases here on the East Coast, and it's really scary out there. You know, I've got family, I've got 3 kids, my wife and I, we've all been super isolated lately. We haven't been out of the house really in 4 weeks unless we really had to, you know. So I hope you're all being safe around the globe. If you're in other countries, you know, chime in. And if you have any more questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll follow up on this video and I'll try to answer any more questions that might roll in. Yeah, so that's all I got. If you like this content or you're a real nerd and you're into fitness equipment and technology, make sure you subscribe down below. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that stuff. Keep an eye out for my upcoming videos. And another thing I'd like to hear from you about is how you like this kind of content, what you think is going to pan out from here, and what kind of content you want to see in this live environment. Like, can you suggest some guests I should try to bring on or ideas that you can conjure up? Because I'm running out. So I hope you're all well. Be safe. Wash those hands. Wear a mask when you go grocery shopping, and do all the things. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.